Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Marshall, we are here again, and I need to tell you, I didn't tell you this when we got started, that it is approaching, let's see if I can tell you, we are now at the 90-degree mark, and I just want to pat myself on the back that I'm wearing this suit in a office that has no air conditioning as of right now. Got a fan going, feeling really good about myself. You know, I'm a professional.
Well, when you said you were at the 90-degree mark, I thought you were just standing upright.
Right.
It's, you meant the temperature. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that changes everything that I'm thinking.
That's different.
Yeah. So good thing it's not smell a tube.
That's exactly right.
Like that. I can see where this would be detrimental to all our viewers.
Very fair statement. Very fair statement.
So let me say I admire your perseverance in the face of adversity.
Oh,
I mean,
I said it so that you would brag on me. So thank you.
Yeah. Lesser man would have melted under these just extreme conditions, but no. Ramsey says, "Let's do the podcast."
I want to do this. That's really because this is so fun. I think these are so helpful, and we've talked about this. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and let me start us off with a story that probably has happened nearby you, dear listeners, both of you. We all know some teenagers. We know some teenagers that are on social media a lot, and occasionally a negative thing happens. Something was challenged. There was something mean-spirited said. There was something revealed that was supposed to be secret. We could go on and on with the list of things that really could be rough. And I guess where I'm going with this is social media makes it seem like you've got the full story, right? Because this is where you live. These are my people, and I know this and this and this about their lives, and I see all these things happening. But do you really know the story? And often I think our teenagers, and this is one of the reasons we're doing this podcast, is we think that there are so many opportunities for crucial conversations to help people who are really struggling with mental health and at the end of their rope. And one of those is teenagers in situations like this where they don't really know the whole story, but they've convinced themselves that they know it all and their life is over, or so-and-so hates them, or whatever it is. So that's why today's segment on crucial conversations is so important.
Oh, couldn't agree more. And yeah, sometimes we find that the young people, even adults, they're in an echo chamber, and they don't hear opposing points of view. And because of that, when they finally get into the workplace and they do hear an opposing point of view, or they get some corrective feedback, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to take it. And something that we thought was a fairly benign conversation now is escalated to a crucial conversation.
That's it. So just to remind everybody, a crucial conversation is real high stakes, high emotion, opposing viewpoints. And over the last few episodes, we've given you some things to think about. What's your goal in the conversation for yourself, for the other person, for the relationship with that person. We've suggested you look in the mirror. What are you contributing to this whole mess? Is there a possibility that you've gone into silence or violence instead of hitting it head on? And today we're sort of, this is your idea, Mike, and I think you're right, but we're adjusting the order of the chapters in this book, which is a phenomenal book. And we're doing it with the purpose of really staying in the place of, let's do all the prep work beforehand. So today is about master your story. And this is something to do on the front end.
Well, and I think we must stop and admire the ego and the hubris that it must take to take a perfectly good book and rearrange the chapters because we don't agree with the order that they're in.
Look,
I kind of like that.
If you're willing to rearrange chapters of a book, I can sit here in 90 degrees in a suit. I mean, I think this is,
well, we are out there.
We are wild.
Rebels without a clue.
Very true.
So yeah, no, this struck home with me because I think it's because I'm so guilty of it. It's called Master Your Story. You got to recognize and change the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we don't even tell ourselves the whole story. We magnify, and we'll talk about the 3 different ways that we magnify the story to maybe favor us, to put ourselves in the positive light in this whole endeavor. And there's this wonderful idea in the book about don't confuse facts with your story. There's a difference between the facts of what's actually happening and the story that you're telling yourself.
Yeah. So, let's talk about that because, this is really near and dear to me that my company HipSocket, the tagline is wrestle and grow. Mm-hmm. And what we mean by wrestle is have a conversation, right? Have that wrestling match of a conversation to get to the truth of the matter. That's really what the ancients would have called dialectic, I guess, that you're wrestling with some argument, some idea, with words. You're wrestling and you're trying to get to the real truth of what's really going on with this particular subject or piece of art or relationship. And so in this case, it's really a dialectic with yourself. In the last episode, we talked about looking in the mirror. Well, now we're asking you to really argue with yourself about what is really going on in this conversation. So they would have called it the dialectic. Let me give an example. Let's say that you had said some harsh words to me. Notice I've already told myself a little bit of a story there. You were being harsh, right?
Oh, yes.
But here's what I really should say to myself. Now, is that really what happened? Was Marshall being harsh with me? Well, really what he said was, I don't know, let's make up something. Your suit looks funny. And he said, your suit looks funny. And I felt treated harshly. Mm-hmm. Both of those things are facts.
Right. Okay.
The fact that I feel that way, right? I feel treated harshly. That is true. That is absolutely how I feel. Mm-hmm. The fact that you said those words, that suit looks funny on you. Those are true words. What's not true is he treated me harshly, or he was making fun of me, or pick a story, right? Those are stories, and stories are not facts. Now it's how I'm seeing it. And I really need to start weighing, like, now what's really going on here? What else is a factor here? What are some things that maybe I don't know or haven't thought of that really would make this story make a lot more sense than what I just told myself?
Oh yeah, and as you're talking, I'm seeing the incredible difficulty of doing this, because in order to have this honest assessment of the facts, I would have to drain all the emotion out of it.
Yep.
Man, you talk about that. Would be
tough.
hard. Yeah, because I feel like I was treated harshly. I was picked on, and now I've got to sit there and go, okay, what actually happened?
Right.
So
let's be rational about this.
Let's forget the emotional part. Let's be rational and go, okay, what are the things that actually occurred?
Yeah.
And you've heard that saying, perception is reality. Yep. So my perception of it is my reality. And that's a fact for me, right? I felt like it was harsh.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that characterization is correct. It's just how I felt about it.
Yeah. And it's almost like perception is reality is the kind of thing that a person or an organization should be thinking about when they're doing research, right? That we're being perceived a certain way. And so that's why the market is acting a certain way. The how I came across to this person made them think XYZ, and so that's how they're treating me is by as if XYZ were true. Mm-hmm. And so perception is reality is me saying you have a completely different perspective than I do, and I probably ought to figure out what that perspective is, right? Mm-hmm. There are some questions there that I have to better paint reality. So my truth maybe doesn't matter as much here. It's what really did happen, what really is going on in the story,
Mhm.
and
So
separating that from the emotion.
it makes me think of yeah, we were talking about this in something we were working on yesterday, but it was I've got a little bit of fact and a dump truck load of assumptions.
Right.
And so based upon my little bit of fact, I got a couple of facts, this huge truckload of assumptions. I'm
Yep.
now going to make up a story.
Right. Right.
And people will listen to the story and go, yeah, there's, some of that, it's not true.
Right.
Some of that didn't happen, and some of it, could have been perceived a different way. And
Yeah.
there was a little bit of fact in there.
What was the it may have been that the book was called Paradigms. I don't remember, but it was how I was introduced to the concept of paradigms. But the story was that the lady sat down at the airport, got out of her carry-on bag some cookies she had just bought, and set them down and started reading her book. And a gentleman came and sat down next to her, and also reading a book, and he took one of her cookies. Like, he just point blank took a cookie. And she doesn't say anything. She's, kind of furious, and she grabs a cookie, and, continues to read, and he grabs another cookie. And they do this for a whole sleeve of cookies, right? Gets down to one cookie left. And this joker, the man, takes the cookie in his hand, breaks it in two, and gives her half. And she is just losing her mind, doesn't say a word to him, of course, just. And so she boards her plane, still just so furious about it, and gets her carry-on bag put away, and discovers the unopened bag of cookies. She had actually been eating his cookies the entire time, and he was being really nice instead of being a complete jerk. So the story, she never gave herself a chance to hear the rest of that story. She was so angry about that first cookie being stolen that the rest of the opportunity to get any meaning in this situation just went completely by the wayside. How often do we do that in the workplace?
Oh yeah. Except now we, since that book's been written, we have a new word for it. We call it triggered.
Right.
Yeah. I was so triggered when he ate my cookies that I couldn't have rational thoughts. All these bad things happen. So we see it all the time, and I think that's part of the emotion takes over. I'm furious, I'm angry, and I don't stop to look and go, okay, what are the facts here? Oh, the fact is I'm eating his cookies, and the other fact is he's being extremely cordial about it. Much more so than I probably would have been. And so it gets to, the book talks about the stories that we tell ourselves. We amplify either the fact that we're a victim in our story. We amplify that the other person, their villainy is much higher than it actually was, right. Or we tell ourselves that we were helpless to do anything different.
Yeah.
And so like in your cookie story, right? Yeah, I'm a victim. The man sat down, started to eat my cookies. He could have even been a villain.
Right.
Yeah, I was a victim, and he was the cookie monster.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This villainous serial cookie stealer. Just took my stuff, and he was a villain, I was a victim, and I was helpless. What could I do? I'm a woman, and he's a man, and the world's not fair, and
right.
All four personas could have been amplified into that story.
Yeah, I have a dealer that I have worked with in the past, and multiple stores, and sometimes he doesn't return text messages.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part of Mark Ramsey who goes, oh no, he's unhappy with me. What have I done? I'm the victim here. And I know some of his managers struggle with that too, but one of his general managers has done a great job of telling the story. He says, stop and think for a minute. He has a bunch of stores. If you were him, like, get into his shoes for a minute. Is it possible that he didn't return your message because he was busy. Now, I'm not saying that that makes it right that you don't respond to people ultimately, but the fact is, like, maybe this week we don't have to pass out from, thinking that he's just this ogre up there at the top of the mountain, refusing to, communicate with us, or he's angry with us, or whatever is the story they tell themselves.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think one of the things that makes that interesting is when you're new to the relationship, I think you tell yourselves that story in a more dramatic fashion. But it happens even though like I'll, when I was leading coaches, the coach would call and he'd say, I reached out to the store and I haven't heard back. And it's not like them. I think they're mad at me. I think they're unhappy with what we're doing. I think they're disengaged. And my response was always, or there's something bigger than what we work on that's going on in their life right now.
Well, you went there, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, and 99% of the time, the guy was dealing with a whole department quit. A
Right.
family member or a valued team member passed away, and they were dealing with a funeral. Right. There was always something bigger than what, we like to think what we're working on is important, but there is bigger stuff in life and work. And so 99% of the time it was, something bigger. And then when the person did get back to you, they apologized. Hey, sorry, I was distant.
Yeah.
The whole thing fell apart and we were putting it back together. And now we pick up where we left off. But the first story was, I'm a victim. I'm helpless. They're a villain. They just ghosted me. And that was so rude. And
I really want to be the center of the universe, Mike. Are you sure that I'm not the most important conversation that person could be having? Okay. All right. You say so.
Yeah. I mean, I sent a text with an emoji. It was worthy of responding to. Hello. So I think, recognize and change the story you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
Did you exaggerate your victimhood? Did you exaggerate their villainy? Did you exaggerate your helplessness? There was nothing I could do in this situation. Really? Let's talk about that. And so, and keep in mind, this is all, just like you said so wonderfully, this is a conversation I'm having with myself.
Right.
I'm analyzing, I'm looking at it and going, all right, what story did I tell myself about that? And is it a fact or is it a story?
And I do want to give a shout out to Thad Bartlett, a friend of ours who's just an excellent instructional designer and just frankly all around great fellow. Mm-hmm. And he is the one who pointed out to me that at this point in the conversation with yourself, you can be noticing that there are a bunch of things you don't know. Sort of like in your example with the dealer, or it could be this, this, and this. I wonder what it is. And so Thad encouraged me that, make a list. What are the things you wish you did know? What would you like to know? And that's going to be a little bit of a setup for where we go to in future episodes with this. So, this whole concept is we're still on the inward side. We're still being introspective. Starting with the heart, learning to look at ourselves, and now mastering the story. And we've got one more little tidbit before we get into the actual conversation. We'll talk about that next time, making it safe.
Yes. Yeah. Now we're done, analyzing ourselves. Now we're going to think about what is the setting for this conversation and how do I create a safe environment so we can actually have the crucial conversation in a safe and productive manner.
Love it. Sweet.
Speaking of collaborative, safe, warm, wonderful, let's see what our announcer has to say.
You're just making up for all the insults you gave him last time.
Yeah, I did singing pretty good.
And there you have it. Another session of contemporaneous extemporizing from Mark and Mike. I know it's redundant, but consider who we're talking about. As always, feel free to share the ideas you heard here. No right to reserve, no permissions needed. Thanks. See you next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.